Alright folks, welcome. Today we're going to take a look at ZvZ with Dimaga, and we're going to take a look at ZvZ against TLO. Some of the things we're going to look at is how to defend against an early Zergling attack, but basically positioning your drones correctly and minimizing your losses and not overreacting. Then we're going to take a look at how to perhaps try to do a bailing attack, and our opponent is going to show us how to correctly and perfectly defend against it by placing a queen and roaches on the ramp. Later on, we're going to see how an early roach pressure can be very effective, but how to not to overreact and defend against it correctly. A little bit later, of course, we're going to take a look at how fungal growth can be really effective against roaches, but because of our attack upgrade and our quick switch to getting burrow, which heals your roaches very quickly, that we can get the advantage back in the game and turn the infestor tech against our opponent. And of course later on we're going to see how an upgrade advantage and of course burrow healing is going to win the game for us. So let's go ahead and take a look at the game. Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, once again this is ZvZ, and I'm translating for Dmitry Filipchuk, aka MTW Dimaga, and today I want to show you a very awesome game. This is a typical ladder game on the European ladder, and I got the European player TLO. I know he doesn't need any introduction, but he is a very famous player from the clan Liquid. He said he actually played a Zerg by accident because queuing a little bit of 2v2, and of course he usually plays either random or Terran, and he still continues to play random on the ladder, which is very impressive. He's quite a strong player. He's from Germany. On the Team Liquid is from the website Team Liquid, and of course the American community knows him very well. He's a loved player by all. Okay, so this is a ZvZ game hence, and of course the map is Zelnaga Caverns. This is one of the many games I played against TLO. I played him on ladder very often and in tournaments. Okay, so on Zelnaga, ZvZ positioning for overlords is actually fairly close. So I'm going to play very standard, 14 gas and 14 pool, because if you go through a hatchery first, you can really get caught off guard and they can push you with standard ling or bailing attacks. So I build, of course, my 14 gas and 14 pool. And playing hatchery first is a little bit dangerous because of that on this map. So because the first overlord is going to get to the expansion fairly quick, we don't really need to scout with a worker. And the overlord is going to see everything that it needs to, and you can see if he's got an expansion or not, and based on that of course you can adjust your build and choose how you're going to play against your opponent and against his build. So of course if he's going to go for something like without expansions, you can do the same thing, and you can of course choose. And right here, my second overlord, of course, scouts that he's got Zerglings, and because I've got a standard 14 pool, you know, I take a drone and I scout around my base to see if there's any proxy spine crawlers. There aren't. And I order speed to my lings and I pull my drones. It's important not to lose too many drones at this point. He kills a single drone, but I killed 2 Zerglings, so that's an okay exchange, and he comes in here and he damages 1 drone, but my own Zergling spawn, but he micros well around my creep and he kills a second drone of mine. So at this point he lost 3 lings and lost 2 drones, so that's an okay exchange considering he made my drones not mine for a bit, but his builder was a little bit less inefficient. We're about okay. So at this point I put a baneling's nest. You know, a baneling's nest is something you can do to really punish your opponent for going certain builds. And of course my creep, or rather larva, is going to go into building those Zerglings that I'm going to need to follow the banelings. I see he's got 6 lings there and a queen, and I accidentally lose a Zergling there, but that's okay. And I'm just putting my Zerglings away from where he can see them, and as soon as my baneling's nest finishes, because I'm mining that gas, I'm able to build 5 banelings right there, and I build 5 banelings with all my money, and as you see I dropped to almost no money. And my speedlings with the speed finished, of course, all get rallied to his base. So if he doesn't have roaches, which he does, being an excellent player, I could kill him. Now at this point, look at that positioning. He's got those 2 roaches and a queen on his ramp. That is what you need to do to defend against this kind of attack. Okay, I know that I can't really push him, so at this point back at home I power drones. That is what you need to do. You need to power drones back at home. He pushes out with a little bit of a mistake with that roach, and I managed to kill him only in exchange for a couple of zerglings. So that's a good exchange at that point. And I keep ordering drones back at home because I'm going to need that economic advantage. I build an evolution chamber back at home, and of course I'm gonna get as many drones, and I'm going to go from one base and build roaches for myself. Now potentially you could make an expansion here as well. I also added extra gas, and of course I start my lair. At this point, because I built those 5 banelings, I'm a little bit behind in what I could have been if we both had gone for roaches. I see he's got 7 roaches pushing out, and I've only got 9 lings, so I just need to try to keep them away. And I move my banelings away. I start building a roach warren after the lair, so when the lair finishes, the roach warren is finished as well. Unfortunately, he's got a single of his roaches and he kills my banelings with, but my lings are able to sneak in his base and I can see what he's got. I see he has a lot of workers in the lair coming for his own, so I kind of have an idea what he has, but at this point he has a clear advantage in terms of troops and economy for him. I only have a little bit faster tech. At this point my ace card is my evolution chamber, and I can get that +1 or even +2 upgrade, and that's what I'm counting on. Now I see that he's moving out with his roaches on the map, and I know I cannot get speed at this point, and I need to order roaches back at home. I don't get that speed based on the scouting that I see. Okay, now he's going to come in with his roaches. He's going to start sniping my drones. I need to keep my queen back. Okay, and I need to wait for my roaches to spawn. As soon as they do, I select all of them and I attack move a single roach at a time. Now this is really important so you can minimize your losses. At the same time, of course, he's focusing my drones. He killed a number of drones with those roaches, and at this point he is very much in favor in terms of both army composition and economy, but I have a single ace card up my sleeve. I have that +1 attack incoming. At this point I also order roach speed, and my plan at this point is to, of course, build a bunch of roaches with the speed upgrade, and after that, you know, see what we can do. Maybe take an expansion after that and push out with that expansion. Okay, so my +1 finishes here, and you know, I actually stop mining gas for a little bit because I've got a lot of gas and I have 12 roaches, and I build my drone, send my drone to my expansion. So move out with my own roaches and try to see what he's got. I want to make sure he's not going mutalisks or surprise me with anything else like that. So I move out and I try to see what he's up to, but I see he's got a spine crawler over there, and I know that I can't really push through because he's going to surround me up his ramp. And I order drones back at home and start mining gas again. Now I see he doesn't have speed on his roaches, and I can probably catch him off guard with of course my roaches, but he's got many of his own as well. So I order a second upgrade for my attack, so I'm gonna have +2 in about 2 minutes from now. So he moves out, and I move my damage roach in the back so he doesn't die first, and I am just waiting to see to what he shows. And of course I start getting my second base upgraded. He moves out and he Fungal Goes me, so he went infestors. He went for infestors. All my roaches are taking damage here, and of course he pushes out with his own. I try to run away and I lose 1, 2, 3 roaches at this point, and I need to run away. I lose 4 roaches total, and I take damage on all of mine, but because I have speed, I'm actually able to salvage. At this point, I also order burrow. Okay, I order burrow. That is extremely important for the roaches because they're going to be able to heal when they're burrowed. He follows with a single roach, and of course I take that free kill that he gives me, and I see that my opponent is moving out. Now he's also building an expansion, so actually because of that expansion I'm a little bit ahead because my expansion was a little bit earlier. Okay, so right here, of course, I'm gonna finish that burrow, and my +2 upgrade is gonna finish. So as soon as burrow is done, I can go ahead and burrow my roaches and heal them. I spread my overlords around the map so I can see exactly where he's moving out from, and I'm just sitting here and waiting for him to move out. I don't need a second queen. Now I see there's 2 infestors and roaches moving out, but the, of course, energy on the infestors is kind of low, so I borrowed these damage roaches and I spread the other roaches around so the fungal doesn't hit as many roaches as it possibly could. I want to keep it to minimum. So here I unborrow, and he fungals only 5 of my roaches, and I push him in. He gets a pretty decent fungal there, but because of my upgrade advantage and of course the flank, he moves out for some reason. I am able to borrow my roaches and heal all of them and negate all the advantage he possibly could have gotten. So at this point I make a decision and I'm going to attack. I'm going to punish him for building that expansion. My +2 upgrade is finished and I only order roaches. I don't build any more drones. I don't build anything at that second expansion except roaches, and I rally all my roaches to his base. This is a kind of a timing attack or all-in move with my roaches, but because of the +2 upgrade, the army engagement is going to go very much in my favor. Even though he's able to fungal growth, he wasted about 4 fungal growths total earlier in the game that I was able to borrow. And I know that I can win this engagement here. As long as I borrow my damaged roaches and I keep a good arc going, I'm actually going to win. And by looking at the battle, I can see I've got more roaches than my opponent, and this game is actually in my favor. Because of that +2 upgrade, because of using burrow to counter fungal growth, I was actually able to win the game. TLO writes GG, and that was a tough game, but it was a pretty beautiful game overall, and thank you for watching. I hope you've learned a lot. Alright folks, let's go ahead and wrap up what we learned from this awesome ZvZ. First of all, of course, build orders can be extremely important, but also certain things you can do can change and basically counter certain build orders, like for example blocking off your ramp can counter banelings. Secondly, in roach versus roach battles, upgrades and especially attack upgrades are extremely important, and the +2 upgrade we got this game is basically what won the game for us. And there's certain tech trees, like for example burrow countering infestors and so on and so forth, that counter each other. The same way banelings are countered by roaches, and for example secret mutalisks, which is a roach counter, and for of course banelings counter basically pure zerglings, so do other tech trees can counter each other. So it's really important to keep an eye out on what your opponent is doing. So thank you for watching this game folks, and I hope it's been very entertaining, and as always, GG.